Do you have any particular memories of working with that cast on SG-1 that stand out over the years?
The first thing that pops to mind, and I may be exaggerating the story a little bit, but boy, it sure felt like this. I don't know what the hell it was with me. I was having a hell of a time remembering my lines. I think I hadn't done it in a while. Hadn't been on Stargate in a while. And then I realized what I was a part of. Anyway, I was nervous as all hell. And totally nervous. I had to recite out, put it, and it was, the scene was myself, Amanda, and I forget who else. Anyway, I totally was not getting it, and I was starting to get self-conscious. But then Amanda like totally screwed up her lines, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. And it kind of relaxed me a little bit, you know. And I was like, okay, everybody here's kind of screwing up a little bit, and I was settled down enough to get through it, and it was all good. And it wasn't until later that I realized Amanda never screws up her lines. So, and if she did, it was extremely rare. And I thought, she did that for me. She did it for me. Now, she may not have, but that's how I choose to remember the story. Because she screwed up a couple of times, and Amanda didn't screw up, man. She's brilliant and all that kind of stuff. But I just thought it was an incredibly gracious and generous thing to do, to put another actor at ease, and that's to blow a take. And it just says, hey, man, we're all human. We're all here doing it. And it did. It put me at ease, and off and forward I went. So I don't look, all of my stories are all positive, which may sound a bit silly because life isn't positive and people aren't always positive. And I'll bet you there were some serious battles on that show and stories that nobody's ever told you. I don't know what they are though, because I never saw them, man. They kept it private. They kept it in the corners where it belongs. And I mean, I've been on some sets, man. I've seen chairs thrown. I've seen some crazy shit go down. I didn't see that on Stargate. And if there was tension, nobody was, I don't know. It just, it never got to the point where it affected things. Not for me anyway. It's always a wonderful place to show up and work.
I'm looking at some of your other projects. This Blood Drive series, I've not seen it. And it looks like your character with the hat and everything else. I mean, you know, this Julian Slink character. Tell me about this guy. This looks like a fascinating character. Wow, it was. What a blessing, an absolute blessing. Blood Drive is basically, look, it's not for everyone, but if you, it's basically a post-apocalyptic death race where the cars run on human blood. And that's it. And that's the show. Jeez. Then there's a show within the show called Blood Drive, which is the show that puts this race on every week. And how, and it's everything from what the network brass want. We need more death. We need more dismemberment. There's not enough blood, you know, and Julian Slink is the ringmaster, kind of the Barnum and Bailey centerpiece for the show. Got it.
But he's also has to deal with these crazy suits, you know, and the corporate brass and what they need, and offering him notes when he fancies himself as an artist, when in fact he's a clone of like an android. It's so bonkers. It's absolutely wacko, but it's a trip. What I loved about it, I think I was telling you this earlier on, it was an absolutely, utterly ridiculous premise for a show. You know, cars that run on human blood, and it's definitely not something that you would ever take seriously. I made the choice as an actor to do it like I was doing Arthur Miller, like this was Eugene O'Neill, like I was doing Long Day's Journey into Night every single day. I took it as serious as I've ever taken anything in my life as an actor. It also, the timing was really interesting, David, in that I'd recently broken up in a relationship that was in for 6-7 years, and took a year or so to just get my bearings. And then this was an audition that came up and I got it. And I guess the question I had to myself was, how good can you be? Like, in all humility, as you're an actor, you fancy yourself an actor, and how good can you be? Because right now you're not in the middle of a crappy relationship that's sucking up all your time and exhausting you. And also on the other foot, you're not madly in love with somebody who's sucking up all your time. So the fact that it's shot in South Africa, I wasn't on the phone. I miss you. I love you. Come to Cape Town. Come to South Africa. There was none of that. Instead, where I was living, and I didn't even know what the set would look like, I would position everything I thought maybe that the scene might be like, because I wasn't the lead in the show. I got maybe 1-2 takes, and that was it. And then goodbye, right? So all I did was I studied all of the live television from the 50s, all the Colgate theaters, the Westinghouses, everything Rod Serling made pre-Twilight Zone. Incredible pieces of work. And you were live. There was no videotape then. There was kinescope. Well, there was video in the air, like a telephone. Excuse me. And what they do is they literally just take a film camera and they would film a monitor. They'd film a television. And that's how they saved it, because there was no such thing as videotape or audio tape,
right?
Or videotape, anyway. So I thought, I'm only going to get 1 or 2 shots at this, and these actors doing these shows would go live to the entire nation, to anybody with a television. And the stakes, man, talk about pressure, because if you blew it in front of tens of millions of people, your career was over, man. You were done. That's it. There was no go back, cut. No, I got to do it again. And it was an incredible time. It's one of my favorite eras of acting, because you had to exit one door, then race your ass down the studio, put on a different wardrobe, hop in there, get to your mark, and pray to God you got there before the camera. Otherwise, the camera's going to see you lumbering, flumping through the door. And so totally like living hell stuff, and not many of them were very good, let alone great. But boy, there were a couple of gems there, man. You check out, for anybody that's interested, check out The Comedian. Rod Serling's The Comedian with Mickey Rooney. John Frankenheimer directed it. Martin Manuel's produced it. It's phenomenal. There's also A Town Has Turned to Dust. Again, Rod Serling. Study the history of that before you even see that, and the censorship, and what I think it was, I forget it was, CBS were going to censor it because it was about a black kid who got lynched, and they totally changed it, and they made it about a Mexican kid on a border town, and they changed it. And Serling was infuriated, man, apoplectic that they would screw with his work. But then look what they did. Look what they did when they did it. Because they know that they're being censored, and there's some moments in there that are, it's so good. Anyway, some great stuff like that I would check out and I would watch, and then come back to to this show about an intercontinental blood race, and then do it, you know. So I don't know if I did any good. I don't know if the show, but it tried, man. I got to hand it to David Straighten and James Rowland, the creator of the show. It's wacko. There's never been a show attempted like it. And I got to tip my hat to Syfy, because they actually bankrolled this thing. And it is, man. It's batshit wacko. It's crazy. It's really, really crazy. Sometimes they push the envelope a little bit too much in some places, but other parts are just absolutely divine.
I'm going to check it out. I want to see it. Thanks for watching this clip from Dial the Gate. You can find the full live stream shows on our YouTube channel, or visit dialthegate.com for the complete schedule. See you on the other side.